The wife bought them from, here. They were okay.
Jim sick last night?
No.
Oh, how convenient.
Anthony was there last night.
Okay.
He feels worse. It happens.
Welcome to the Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard. This class meets in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Rus Bas Moshe, Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. We wish Mazel Tov to her son, Rudy, for granddaughter born this week, named in memory of your mother, Sarah. Sarah Malka Rus. Apples from the Orchard contain selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Okay, we are on page 579.
Yes.
I read the first 2 pages last night
Of what?
that I missed last week.
Okay.
Very interesting.
You got it?
I knew about it already, but it's very interesting.
Okay.
I didn't know about that Sam's 2 wives had concubines.
Yeah, that was new to me.
Is that what he's inquiring over here? Oh, maidservants. Ah.
Okay.
So is he saying that Sam is Sutton, or is Sutton a different one?
No.
Something on the internet said that.
That they're one and the same?
Okay, guys, we are live. Maybe a few second delay.
Oh, yeah.
You're eating your cookie there.
Rabbi, did you hear my question or no?
Yeah, he's carried twice.
You asked me if that's Sutton?
If Sam and Sutton are the same, or if Sutton's a different one, a different guy.
Generally, they're different. They're different. But last week we said, or a couple weeks ago, we said that we say it was Sammy in the Garden of Eden. And Esav had a snake on his thigh. Either it was a birthmark or a tattoo.
Birthmark.
Yeah. Don't know.
Well, Flash
Because
says that.
typically, when you talk about
Yeah.
Lily,
Lilith. You can say Lilith.
Lilith, it's usually with Sutton.
As you've seen from here, sometimes there is
Crossover.
crossover. There's
It's all Asap's archangel.
there's crossover, and one takes
That
the
could be
place. One
something.
personifies the other. All right.
But then there's a medrash that says that Lilith has him tied upside down.
Not hearing you.
There's a medrash that says that Lilith has him tied upside down.
Who?
Sutton.
Oh, that could be, as I'm not sure if I mentioned last week, 2 weeks
Hanging in
ago.
a cave.
You do have to be careful with some of these medrash, especially on Lilith, that they are a pseudo medrash. They're modern medrash that are fairy tales made up from non-reliable sources.
Like the news today.
Yeah.
Like the news every day?
Like every day.
Every day.
So that you have to be careful of.
Unless you see it on the internet, it's always everything on the internet's true.
It's true. So last week, oh my gosh, we talked about Yaakov coming to Israel. Through that, he was trying to rectify the sin, restore from the sin of Adam. The angel smacked him, trying to
Socket. Socket. Yeah.
tackle him.
Yeah.
Trying to do
I
it,
learned about that last night.
Right.
trying to tackle him.
And last week.
And Yaakov overcame and earned the name Yisrael. All right. Let's go continue with 579.
This is
You ready, Alan?
ready.
Okay.
This is the meaning of the verse. Therefore, she shall be called woman, Isha, for this one was taken from man, Ish. The emphasized words indicate that Chava is here being contrasted with someone else, namely Lilith.
I don't know how, but
The divine name Ka is the difference between them and without it. They are both fire, Ish. The words for man, Ish, Aleph Yud Shin, and woman, Isha, Aleph Shin Hey, are very similar. Each is composed of 3 letters, 2 of which are the same as in the other word. The 2 common letters, Aleph Shin, spell the word for fire. And the 2 different letters, Yud in Ish and Hey in Isha, spell the divine name Ka, Yud, which is Yud Hey. As the sages of the Talmud point out, this means that the union of husband and wife should include the divine presence. For then, when it does not, they are not really a true man and woman, but just 2 fires, 2 opposing passions.
So over there, it talks, I think it says that maybe they're consumed by fire, what's left is fire, that the house is not stable. Here, he uses the word fire as a metaphor for passion.
Okay.
So that there are 2
Yeah.
passions that are not congruent with each other. Okay. Did we speak, was it last week or not? Maybe in the Shalah. They have,
I want to hear that.
he talks about, generally we speak about 4 elements in the world, Dr. Chemist, which are
Fire, water, air, and
fire, water, air,
Earth.
and dirt. Earth.
Dirt.
earth. Yeah.
Those are the 4 basic elements that we use.
Earth,
Earth, fire,
wind,
earth,
and
fire, air, and water.
Fire,
earth, wind, and fire.
Earth, yeah. Earth, wind, and
Air
fire.
is wind.
Earth.
Earth, wind, and fire, and water.
And water.
The
It's like 2
Good
groups.
group. 2 groups, yeah.
September.
so
No
in
singing.
the Sefer Yetzirah, it speaks about the 4 elements as 3.
Uh-huh.
Well, it speaks about the 4 elements as 3. Air, water, and fire. But what's missing is
Earth.
earth.
That dirt.
It says that the earth, I guess, is included in one of the other 3. I think in the wind, maybe.
I don't know.
I guess it's included within it.
Somewhere.
When I was a kid,
Probably the fire. Probably the fire.
maybe, because it's left over as ash.
Yeah.
Don't remember.
At the
Yeah.
Earth's core is molten.
Maybe. But it talks about, it says, Sefer Yetzirah, it keeps talking about emesh. That's, I think, avir, mayim, and aish. Emesh also means last night. It's used in the Torah when Yaakov spoke to Lavan. He says, this is why Hashem appeared to you yesterday. He warned you yesterday. The word there is emesh. So I think it was 2 weeks ago in the Shalah that it explains this, what it is doing in the Sefer Yetzirah, the 3 elements. When I was a kid, we had a guy who said that there are 4 elements that are always the what's it called? The elements from the table
Yeah.
that are always somewhere. What are they?
Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen.
What do they spell?
Chon.
They spell cone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. What is it? They're always
Always available, always there, always around.
okay.
Body.
They're the essence of life.
Okay. So he said that's cone. So I
See,
want.
we wouldn't think of it that way. We just know the elements.
I was.
Just
Spells Colin,
I would never have thought of that.
you know? That's why I said John.
So, I was once wondering if those 4 correspond to wind, earth, wind, make a stroke. Okay, just a thought. Anyways, so that's of those 4.
Well, you could carbon.
Elements.
Carbon could be considered for earth. Oxygen for fire.
Well,
Or hydrogen
air,
for fire.
air is oxygen and nitrogen.
Maybe hydrogen for fire.
For water.
Well,
Hydrogen for
no,
water.
Hydrogen for water?
Well, hydrogen,
H2O.
hydrogen and oxygen.
So
for water.
oxygen and nitrogen, you have air. Hydrogen and oxygen have water.
So it might.
Carbon, you have
need silicon.
dirt. Yeah.
For Earth, you need silicon mostly.
Well, you have all the dinosaurs, you got carbon.
Also.
I'll talk about-
Also,
all right,
these
silicon
4
dioxide,
elements
yeah.
are not. I guess it's not just science fiction. I was reading some stuff. It is actually part of science today.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. It may be. No, they were writing how it's the 4 elements are
Well, it's the
do have
found-
practical application.
well, it's the foundation. It's the foundation of life.
The 4 elements.
Those 4 elements, yeah. If you
It's
don't
a
have those,
four-
you don't have life.
No. Earth, wind, fire, water.
Yeah.
But it was beyond me.
That's
Okay,
because,
so now.
that's what the alchemists first designated before they knew the elements. That's what they first had that's what they first had the elements before we got in. When you had alchemy, that's what they designated was those things.
Ayurveda also, for body type, they do so
Personalities.
wispy lady, that's air. Sumo wrestler, earth. Then there's water and fire, and then there's combinations. And what you eat has to be according to 5,000 years of experience. It's all empirical. There's no scientific justification, but it somehow makes sense. So this lady was saying how her personality is like mixture of water and fire, and she drinks coffee, she goes ordinary. And that happened to me this morning. I was mad at my students because it's 1 week before finals. They are supposed to know this much of the last chapter. 50% of the final is going to be from that. And nobody did the homework. Nobody remembered anything from Thursday. And instead of being compassionate, I would let them have it. Anyhow, yes, because I had a big chunk of chocolate right before class.
Can you pass the cookies?
Which
other
ones? Anyhow, so yeah, what this lady was saying empirically works. If you
It's the empirical
if you
formula.
if you want to find the scientific justification why it works,
The
I'm
what's
not
scientific?
sure. You know, the molecular reasoning why coffee makes me and not a nice person, but that's how they explain it. Body type and correlates to a lot of things.
It's all in the empirical formula.
It's all observation.
All right.
You're ignoring me.
So we haven't rejected it.
No.
They did well to the empirical formula,
Oh, good.
except for one dude.
Okay. Well, now we're going to get into it. Alan, go ahead. Next one.
This is why demons fly about in the air, for they are composed of the elements of fire and air. As we know, demons are produced by sexuality devoid of the presence of Hashem. That is the simple fire of sensual passion expressing selfish pleasure seeking, etc., etc.
Etc. I guess it means use your imagination.
Yeah.
Okay.
After this digression regarding the essence of sexual perversion, the Arizal now explains why sexual perversion causes saras.
So hold on a second. If demons are produced by intimacy, devoid of the presence of God, just fire and air, then how are people different?
Because it's done the
How
right
it's put
way.
together.
And therefore there's water in it? Therefore there's water
well,
and earth?
There is
course.
Hashem, so it makes the ka correct? While the other doesn't.
Oh, okay, the age.
Devoid
The
is
age.
devoid of the divine.
So then humans, I guess, have more of there. I don't know. Earth
Hopefully.
and water.
I mean, the whole book has been doing it the right way, and now we see again that if it's not the Harvey Weinstein way,
Yeah.
causes
Oh no. Yeah.
demons.
What's going on? Okay. Go ahead, Alan.
As to why the skin disease is called saras, it is because it comes from Lilith, who was jealous. Sarat Ayin. The word for jealous, Sarat Ayin, literally troubled of eye, is spelled Tzadik Resh Tav Ayin Yud
None.
Trouble eye or
Nun.
or maybe narrow, constricted, myopicism,
Myopia.
myopia. Thank you. Sorry, myopia. That's okay.
The latter
Jealous, evil eye.
The latter three letter can be considered simply the spelling out of the name of the letter ayin, so that the whole locution becomes Tzadik Resh Tav Ayin. These are the same letters used to spell out Saras, Tzadik Resh Ayin Tav. Okay.
And
So,
in that case, that
Ayin.
defines Lilith as well. She was jealous
Yeah.
of Chava. Okay, Rudy, you ready to go ahead?
Yeah.
Top of 580.
it's okay. It will survive.
She therefore kills the children of Eve, as it is written, her rival provoked her repeatedly. The word for a rival wife is tsara'a, literally a troublemaker. Since in a polygamous setting, it is assumed each wife will consider the other a troublemaker. Lilith considered Eve such a troublemaker, usurping her perceived husband. In her angry jealousy of Eve, she seeks to destroy Eve's children through infant mortality, crib death, etc., God forbid.
That pasuk, her rival provoked her repeatedly, refers to the wives of Elkanah, Chana and Penina. And Chana, of course, was without child, and then over there, then Shmuel was born, Shmuel Hanabi. Oh boy. Okay. Go
But
ahead.
she cannot rule over someone who sanctifies himself during marital relations, for such a person elicits a flow of seed from a supernal source. In other words, the river of the Garden of Eden. This becomes for the married couple a delight, or oneg, rather than a plague, nega.
Nega, plague, is also the word for, refers to the saras. The Torah calls saras on the skin as a nega, a
Plague.
a plague, a rash, a. What do you have? We had a word last week for it.
Skin eruption.
Okay.
This is alluded to in the verse, "Happy are you who sow upon all the waters." The waters of life, referring to someone who sanctifies himself during marital intercourse. If marital relations are conducted in a spirit of selflessness, love, and holiness, the children produced are immune to Lilith's machinations. The couple's delight in each other does not degenerate into a plague. The words for plague, nega, and delight, oneg, are composed of the same letters. Nega is Nun Gimel Ayin. Oneg is Ayin Nun Gimel. And the proper intentions during marital intercourse ensure that these letters will be ordered properly.
Proper intentions, or someone who sanctifies himself. It's discussed in different places, including halacha, that a person's intentions should be for the sake of procreation, of continuing of the human species. For it should be at intervals when a person, like the urge comes naturally, even though the person distracts his mind from it, and he still feels the urge. There are, and also out of great feelings for each other, persons should not have in his mind other women. And then also conducting themselves even in relations in a modest way. And those are in a modest way and with great sensitivity for the other person. That's some of the things that are done. So it should be done like for a holy purpose.
So I have a question, not to put anybody on the spot, or to be
Let's not get personal here.
or not to, God forbid, be derogatory in any way. But here we are, we're in our late 50s and 60s, or 50s and 60s, and we're learning about holy relations. Why aren't these precepts taught at a far younger age?
But
Probably because
They are.
hold on.
Where?
They are in the Code of Jewish Law. You can open up a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch,
Okay.
and you can read about it. And
the little book of
That's not a Rav teaching this.
they have classes. They have classes where they teach this.
Where? Here?
We're here.
Here? Do they have it here?
When we
before getting married.
when we have someone, and we're depending who we're preparing a chassan for getting married, we go over these
Yeah,
things.
but why then? Why not earlier?
Generally, in maybe in some circles they do. Generally, it's not considered
But why?
appropriate earlier.
Why? What's the rationale?
But don't you
I'm
think
interested.
the father, I had a talk
No,
with
but
Ben.
it's gotta be young now. I mean, look at what the world is like. I mean, I know when I went to yeshiva, I went to Yehuday school, nothing was ever discussed by any of the Rebbeim. Nothing was completely verboten, taboo, never a discussion. And I would think that especially now, not
It
to
is taught. It
not
is.
to diverge.
It is taught when they're before the marriage. There are classes that are held for chassans, for kalas, and they go into.
I know, but
They
I'm
go
just-
into generally
I
they
don't-
go into a
again,
full
I-
range,
I
including
know,
these.
I know, I don't wanna diverge, but I just think it should start earlier, especially in the world we live in today. You give a kid an iPad, he walks into a hot spot, he can see anything he wants to see,
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But
That's
the
not.
parental guidance before that happens should have set the right direction. I had to talk to Ben. I don't know how it traumatized the poor boy, but he was probably close to 13, and all I said, like, there's nothing you can do because you're going to do something wrong. You cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot do this and before that. So I don't know how it traumatized the poor boy, but at least I had the talk, which more or less said, procreation versus recreation,
But
not in the deep spiritual
I
level.
understand that, but especially when you hear this, when we read this about how demons are formed, I mean, that's heavy duty. That is like heavy, heavy, heavy duty stuff
we,
that nobody has any concept of or even
the,
ideas about.
the
and
Yeshiva Bachurim come across some of the things in through the course of Gemara, and through the course of Halacha.
Okay.
What the idea is you give to each one at the level that they're at. So a kid, whatever, 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old. I tell you, I spoke to my kids for what they needed at the different ages. And I spoke to them. I should say I speak. Actually, I spoke to my boys.
Okay.
Girls, I don't think I did.
So the book of that we got before we got married from the rabbi, the book of family purity, it's a pamphlet.
Correct.
But so I think the parent should maybe a strong word, but
the parents are just.
but the parent has to know it in the first place.
It's up to the parent.
But if the
Parents are one
parent doesn't
source. There
know,
needs to be reinforcement, especially in this day and age. As I said, I mean, you give a kid
yeah,
iPad. You give a kid a tablet, a 9-year-old with a tablet, and he or she walks into a hot spot.
How you
Look,
know what's
there's
right
many-
and wrong?
Races.
Okay.
Have you ever Googled the word pink and then look at images? Do you know what comes up?
No, but I'll do it right after the class tonight.
Long time
No.
ago, I used to do those things, like see how many pages till something wrong comes up. Any glam, blue. Yeah, it's little game.
First of all, we teach the kids responsibility. Ultimately, it is the parents' responsibility. Today in the world, in the Orthodox, the Hasidic community, you will find different schools of thought. There are some who are saying, this is the world we're living in. We got to deal with it and teach the kids. I'm talking about the schools, the teachers, and they are very, very much, they place emphasis on being clear with the kids, what's okay and what's not okay. Again, at their level, okay? Probably not this stuff so much for getting married, but for what the kids need at their age and for what they're dealing with the internet. And there are some schools that are very, that they take this very seriously and say, why should we not talk about it when it's part of the world today, and that's what the kids are, that's the dangers facing them. And there are others who are very much against bringing this up. Still today, with everything that's going on, and they sweep things under the table, and they close their eyes, they pretend that it doesn't exist. But I can tell you, rest assured that there are that do deal with it.
I don't think it's like when there was a scandal of the priests committing, Catholic priests committing whatever misconducts. The previous pope totally hush hush, under the rug, and I don't think it was a successful PR strategy in general. Another thought I had is like, I was a little boy, but the 60s was all about the selfish, the recreation.
Okay.
Free love, whatever.
Free love, yeah.
Correct. So I wonder what effect what snowball became
Into this?
in that.
Let me address that. The first thing you mentioned was with the priests. Look, the fact is that it was swept under the table. That was the culture in those days. It was, I think many groups. I'm not defending them, but that was the culture.
Strategy.
You
I don't
didn't
think
bring
it's
it up.
successful.
You swept under the table. It was like hush hush, and it's just the last 10 or 20 years that the culture has changed about it. Regarding the
60s.
other things, okay, look at what's on TV. what was on TV in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and what was considered pushing the envelope in those days.
Oh,
Okay? It was the mildest of mild compared to what's been on now in the last 10 years. I'll tell you, if I could
in
just...
the '60s, in those times when you had a
TV,
family,
yeah.
when you had a family show on TV, you could not show two people sleeping in one bed. They always
And a
had twin-
non-family show. What did a non-family show show? What did an adult late night show?
They didn't have.
What
it. There was no really adult.
There was nothing compared to us
Nothing.
today. I tell you,
Dick
if you,
Van Dyke, you're right. Dick Van Dyke had two
twin
beds.
beds. Oh yeah, all of
It
them.
was even in
It was
the
illegal.
50s, in the 50s, black and white movies,
Yeah.
around that time in the 50s,
Yeah.
a man, if there was a scene on the bed, okay, and a woman was on the bed, a man could not climb onto the bed. He had to keep at least
Well, one foot
foot
on the floor. Yeah, in the movies. Yeah,
so
Look at where
but they
we are
did not.
now.
Have,
so a few years ago, I was on the plane, and
adult things then were just when they had things with war or violence, nothing sexual.
even war and violence, even the violence. I was a few years
was still
ago.
mild.
I was on
There
the
was
plane,
censorship,
and when I go on the
yeah.
plane now, I bring stuff to do. I bring work. I bring something to read, and if it's in front of me, I can shut it off. If it's on the overhead, I'm going to see images, and I have no idea what it was, but the entire thing was violence, explosions, violence. It was not just that. It was, what's the word? It was, women fighting. It was people pushing each other, up from the tops of the buildings, whatever, 20 or from a skyscraper. Like they have to make, like they have to push the envelope, make it even more.
More graphical.
Not just graphic, is the other word.
Gratuitous violence.
It's
I have a
more like to
Realistic.
hit your emotions, The entire thing
Visceral.
was blowing up, blowing up, explosions, and fire and explosions, and like the cruelty, the
Yeah,
evil in there.
but-
It's more and more because they're trying to get.
But-
I'm thinking
but-
this is a
but-
plane. This
but-
isn't
I
in
know.
someone's private room.
It's a
This is
plane.
on the plane. There are kids on the plane,
And that's probably
they think
a
of
PG
nothing.
movie.
Yeah, and they think of nothing of showing this kind of stuff here.
Desensitization. But with this all epidemic of sexual misconduct, I said, well, look, I look at the American movie, and it's lots of violence, guns, got to be a gun, okay, that's it. There's no life without a gun in there. And the romance, it doesn't happen. Like Jack Reacher, I don't know anybody?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Lots of violence, and there were two potential romantic elements and nothing.
Nothing what?
So there was no heart, there was no love, there was no
No romance. Yeah.
There's
no
no-
emotions.
no cleavage, nothing.
So the demons are
No
having
cleavage.
a field day, basically. This is what's
But
going
what
on.
I'm thinking is, it pushes the male, the little boy, said, "Oh, I got to be violent," and no, say I love you, it's forbidden. It's like, what the heck is Hollywood trying to do with us?
The demons are in Miami Beach at the ocean twiddling their thumbs because we're doing their work for them.
Reproducing
retired.
them. Apparently,
They're
we're
They are retired.
They're getting sun. Taking a hiatus.
we don't have to convince people to do the bad things.
They're
just
on vacation. They're in
willingly.
retirement.
In the 60s, it was
We're
all,
doing far more.
In the 60s, it was all innuendo. The most
but this is what's
sexually
feeding
thing they had was on the beach movies,
all this
and they
evil
showed
is
some
feeding
cleavage.
them,
That was
Brian.
it.
This is what the point is.
Right.
That what?
All this evil is feeding them, and it becomes
Yeah.
like a vicious cycle.
And don't, obviously our point is that this has to be having an effect of a negative effect, a deleterious effect on society, on not just kids, on
On
adults.
everybody, yes.
People who are 50, 60, 20, 30. and kids
It sways them and has them do things they would not have done 30 years ago.
yeah, there's no question.
Because now they feel they can, it's the norm, they can get away with it. Everyone does it, so why don't I have fun too? Let me join, which
Yeah.
is wrong.
Especially, I mean, if you read the next part, it's
So
just,
where were we?
in contrast.
Anyway, so we talked about this is called sanctifying yourself during intimacy.
Right.
And okay, so there's a few things back to where we started. Those are a few things, and yes, we teach the kids as they.
Okay, that's good to hear. In contrast, for someone who does not sanctify himself during marital relations, his experience becomes that of the plague. He elicits a flow of seed from the place of murky waters, the waters of bitterness that bring curses, as alluded to in the laws of the suspected adulteress, Sota. This is why the punishment of the suspected adulteress, when found guilty, is that her belly, in other words, her womb, swells and her leg falls off, because she was disloyal to her husband by accepting the impurity of the snake.
It doesn't. I didn't know that it's translated. It falls off.
Yeah, well, it's,
More like her thigh drops. Would be.
well, if it drops, where's it going to go?
What doesn't fall off? You've heard of.
Do you know that it didn't fall off?
I don't think most places translate like that. I mean, let's look it up.
Let's look it up.
I don't know, it's-
Well, according to his version, it never happened. This is to scare either the husband or the wife into not accusing, or not doing it, or
Not
not
doing it.
accusing her. Because if you love her,
Her
you
leg
don't want
falls
her
off?
to this thing to swell
It
up.
doesn't fall off.
Numbers
Oh, I'm sorry.
5:21 and 27.
while he's looking it up,
It says to collapse.
collapse.
Thigh collapses, and the stomach to distend.
Okay, but it says here v'nafla yericha.
Yeah, that's what the Torah says. Those are the words of the Torah.
So nafla means fall.
Or collapse.
Collapse.
It's not everything is. We
The
don't.
fall of the
You know, we
Roman
don't always
Empire,
translate the
or is it
literal.
collapse of Roman Empire.
It's a common translation, but you have to adapt it for the context. You have to look for meaning. Where were you?
I want evidence. I want the pictures.
Because she was disloyal to her husband by accepting the impurity of the snake. By committing adultery, a person elicits unholy seed. This flow of seed becomes manifest as the water given to the suspected adulteress to drink. If she is guilty, it destroys her sexual organs and kills her.
That's kind of final.
And therefore,
Hold on a minute. What did it just say?
It says she dies.
It's not what it just said here.
By the halacha sota, you give her the water and her belly distends and
It destroys her sexual
Only if
organs.
she's
She dies.
guilty.
What
If
what
she's
he
guilty,
says
she
here,
dies.
what he implies, is that it's not the water, it's the unholy seed that does it. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
Yeah.
the flow of the seed
Becomes
originates
manifest.
from
Yeah.
the place of
Yeah.
murky waters. So that's why you give her the water.
Okay.
And because of her promiscuity, that's why the womb either swells or she's healed.
It's okay. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Okay?
Okay.
That's it.
Ready? 581.
Oh, there's a little bit more, and therefore also.
And therefore also, if she's proven innocent, she sows seed from the supernal source. If she was innocent, the water given to her to drink is rooted in the same source as that of seed elicited during holy intercourse. According to the sages, if the woman was infertile, the water makes her fertile. If she, hitherto, whatever you say that, produce ugly children, she will henceforth produce beautiful children, and so on. For Hava, the impurity of the primordial snake turned into the blood of menstruation, which causes saras and her delight, oneg, turned into plague, nega. The process of Eden River Garden became the plague. One cause
Hold
of
on.
Sarah's.
Okay.
One cause of Sarah's is intercourse with a menstruating woman. During menstruation, a woman is acutely conscious of herself and her physical feelings, and therefore not capable of focusing on marital relations in a selfless, loving way. Marital relations are therefore forbidden during this time, and someone who engages in them will be affected by the woman's self-orientation, leading to Saras. And a river came forth from Eden to water the garden. The same letters that spell both delight, oneg, and plague, nega, are the initials of the three words for Eden. Eden, river, nahar, and garden, gan.
Get it?
So, oneg, yeah.
Aden is ayin, river is reish, is nun,
Nun.
nahar, nun, and gan is gimel, is either oneg or nega. So the
Well,
All right.
so what? That means that the Garden of Eden
Could have been oneg.
it could be, you could have the Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, and then it's oneg, it's
Or-
delight,
or nega.
or you can have the Garden of Eden with the snake and the primordial sin.
Sin.
And then you have nega.
Nega.
Then you have a
What does Aden mean?
Aden
The Hebrew
means
Eden?
pleasant.
Pleasant?
Pleasant Garden.
Yeah.
Like Pleasant Valley.
Pleasant retirement home. Pleasant garden.
That's Pleasant Valley
They
retirement.
Pleasant Valley?
We're thinking retirement
No, they
homes.
have. Where's the Garden of Eden?
It's over
Might be a what's it called? Huh? Nursing. Nurse.
It's a restaurant too.
That's Eden.
That's Eden.
Eatin.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when they opened.
Organic fruits, yes.
No, fennel. Yeah, so you have either aspect of the Garden of Eden, the positive aspect or the negative aspect.
But it's a choice.
Well,
Yes, for us.
yes, as to how we go about doing it. If we do it the proper way, it's
Through
pleasure.
sanctity.
Sanctity is pleasure. If we do it the improper way, then it's plague. And you get Sarath.
All right. The hay of the name Abraham diminished itself.
Hold, okay.
What?
What?
Where is the transition
One
here?
second, please.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little
Preview.
history.
background.
History.
So
same thing.
Avraham, originally his name was Avram. Hashem added the name Hey. There you go.
There you go.
Hey Avram, meaning an exalted patron, leader. And Avraham, the Torah says that the Hey is for the word Hamon, meaning he's a leader of many
Many.
people.
It's also the small hay in Parshas Bereshis.
Yeah, which word?
Ishba, I forgot it.
So the word, it
in the
says
beginning.
after creation, and the follow-up, it says, these are the products of or descendants of the heaven and earth. On the day Hashem created them, he bore So it's the letters of Abraham, but it's scrambled to say he created them. It's a little bit I think I have to think about it. It might if it's a noun or if it's a grammatically, if it's a noun or if it's a passive form. I think it's passive form of the verb. So the central hey in that word is written small in the Torah.
He bar it's the same letters as Abraham.
Same letter as Avram, but the hay is small.
The hay is small. It's
And
a
that-
foreshadowing of the hay that Hashem gave to
For
Abraham.
Avraham. So that the small hay is a way of indicating that we're referring to Avram here. Meaning that the Torah is created for the sake of Avraham. So that's what he goes to next. Ready?
The hay of the name Abraham would diminish itself. Hashem changed Abram's name to Abraham by adding the letter Hey. In this context, he said, "Your name shall no longer be Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you a father of a multitude of nations." This would be ample cause for haughtiness, but Abraham remained humble. This is alluded to by the following in the verse: "These are the generations of heaven and earth when they were created." The word for when they were created, Behiram, can be permutated to spell Abraham, indicating that the whole world was created in the merit of Abraham. But this very word, the Hey, the letter that made Abram into Abraham, the person on whose merit the whole world rests, is written small.
Okay. We find elsewhere, the Shalah writes about this. Also, he writes about the Behi Baram and creation, makes a connection between creation and Abraham. Elsewhere, we find that Abraham's humility is found in the when he speaks to Hashem, and he said he's petitioning Hashem to save the cities of Sodom and Amorah, and he says, I really should, I apologize for keeping on pleading. And he says, "Va'anochi afar va'efer," I am but
Dust of the earth.
dust and ash. Or I'm but dirt and ash. So also we see there his humility. Here he talks about it from the small hay.
Although
It's the first time that Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is used as well. Embrace it.
Embrace is where it
Yeah.
says Behi Baram.
Yeah. Hashem Elohim says.
Not before?
No, it's the first time. First time Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is used.
Okay.
Because remember that the world originally was created through Elohim, and Hashem realized needed Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which was epitomized through Abraham, which is kindness. Otherwise, the world wouldn't survive.
Okay.
And therefore, these four appearances of Saras came upon the haughty, the sexually perverse, and the boastful.
These are some of the sins mentioned for that bring about Saras.
This is alluded to in the verse, because the daughters of Zion have been haughty. The disease is called a race disease because it comes from haughtiness, and an excess disease because it comes from sexual perverseness, and a bright disease because it comes from having relations with a woman before she has purified herself from the blood of menstruation. Therefore, Saras come from these three sins. Okay, first you say four appearances. Four appearances, but before we had three as well. Remind me, we had the other one.
There are
And the-
three terms. The word sapachas means, what was the word we had last week? Like attached. Do you remember the word? I asked you what it meant.
Spurious? No.
Huh?
We look up spurious. No, but we're talking about.
Ancillary.
Oh yeah.
So sapachas means ancillary. So it's ancillary to the se'es and ancillary to the to the baharis, I think. So before we said sapachas, I think meant swollen, as in haughty.
Okay, so one was.
Here he says that it's to
If we go back
perversiveness.
3 weeks ago, so it's the haughty inside your head, the haughty the top of this level, and number one. So there are three, but here it says four.
It says
Because there are four.
Four appearances.
There are three terms. There's se'es, and it's ancillary, and there is, and then there's the bright and it's ancillary.
Yeah.
which makes a total
okay.
of 4, but with 3 songs.
Yeah, we saw that last week. Don't remember very well. Okay.
And as I mentioned last week, that technically there are 4 whites of Tsaras.
Right.
What?
Different shades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a cleaned
Yeah.
wool,
I
snow,
forgot. Yeah, I forget what,
egg
Eggshell-
white,
Egg white, yeah.
and the color of the paint in the Beis Hamikdash.
Okay. But the rocks were not painted.
I know.
Were they painted?
What rocks?
Those stones in the
Which
temple.
stones? There were places that were painted.
All right.
I don't remember exactly which room.
What do we have there? Oh, no.
Remember, the Beis Hamikdash is not the Kotel.
Oh,
The Kotel is a retaining wall.
yeah.
Like if you build a large sandbox.
Yeah.
They built a huge retaining wall and then they filled it in.
Use Rolling Stones for the retaining wall.
That's so old. Okay. Excess alludes to how a person seeks sexual fulfillment in ways other than with his spouse. Bright is the opposite of the darkness of blood.
All right. Oh.
This is
Okay, 582. Alan, you want to continue?
This is also why it is written, he shall be brought to the priest in order that he quarantine him. For during his isolation he will repent, inasmuch as when he is quarantined he cannot do evil or any of the things that cause tsaras. If he did not repent, the priest would declare him impure, and he would have to dwell outside the camp and announce as he walked, impure, impure, so that others would know to stay away from him.
So this is the opposite of what this like prevents him from
Right.
from being haughty. Who are you going to be haughty to if you're yourself?
I can't think of people.
Schizophrenic. Okay.
Similarly, the souls above are quarantined by the angel
Michael.
Michael, the supernal priest, or by some other lesser angel. This being the meaning of the phrase, or to one of his sons, the priests. But if such a soul is declared... Sorry. But if such a soul is declared to suffer from tsaras, woe to him, for he must dwell alone outside the camp. The numerical value of the word for alone, badad, is 10, meaning outside the realm of the 10 spheres, in the realm of evil. And badad is base dalad, 2 plus 4 plus 4 is 10. And he will call impure, impure, meaning that he is given over to those
Water?
Yes, I'm stuck.
Give me a cup.
No,
A cup.
Do you want someone else to read?
no, yeah, you finish reading.
Oh, yeah.
Go
This is also...
And he will call. Last paragraph on 582.
Where?
Last paragraph.
Yes. And he will call impure, impure, meaning that he's given over to those who wreak havoc in the field,
Which is a verse in Song of Songs.
each of whom is called a man of the field, for they are happy to be of the portion of the man who knows how to hunt the man of the field. This being the domain of Esau, may Hashem preserve us.
It's not clear if this is if these men are in the infield or the outfield.
They just, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the souls are actually can suffer from tsaras.
Uh-huh.
All I know is it's Gaval.
You know, it is.
This is just like.
It's so different in like our society where we think what's conventional is that as long as you're not hurting anyone,
Yeah. Oh.
Or yourself, yes.
you have two consenting adults, you're not hurting anyone, blah, 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 blah. And here you're saying, you know, you might not see it,
What?
but do you know what you're actually doing? You know what you're doing to your soul? You know what's going on in the, where we can't see,
Yeah.
that there are serious repercussions and consequences. So I think, well,
Yes.
Press the
do you see
button.
it's the top button on the right. Thank you all.
Stop streaming?
Stop streaming.
Bye.